Good to see you, right? My name is Alan Cox. Thank you for joining us. Say hi to Bill Squire. He's right over there.
Hey, creepy hugs, everyone. Thanks for listening to and watching this episode. Oh, I just went into it. It's just, didn't even realize I was
It's
doing
autopilot
Yeah.
sometimes. Sometimes.
Just creepy hugs is all I meant to say.
I know, that's fine.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll say, go fund yourself. And that's in the hallway. That's not even in here. I just use it
go
as a
fund
random.
yourself.
Yeah, just use it as a random greeting.
I've been doing a lot of that. Peaches.
I'm hoping to get my daughter to that movie.
I think she's going to like it a lot.
She's not super keen on going to movies, but
a
I like
fun
going
one.
to movies, and so any excuse to go.
And it's short. It's like 90 minutes. It's a good, fun movie. Mary was right about it.
So
and Jack Black was fantastic.
And
That was her favorite part. Mary
it was my
Santora
least favorite part.
is back. She's right over there.
Hi.
And Poundcake is back in Studio G.
Afternoon, white people. Guess what I'm going to see tomorrow evening?
Charlie Sheen.
You are going to go see tomorrow
Should be pretty
evening. Tomorrow's a Friday
Whitney
night.
movie.
You are the Whitney Houston. I Want to Dance with Some. I think it's already out of theaters.
It's,
though.
it's on Netflix right now.
You're going to go see something on Netflix?
No, we're going to go see
Oh,
a
what are you going to
show.
go see? Oh, wait, don't tell me. You're going to go see.
It's all over the place right now.
Shen Yun.
Doesn't narrow it down.
least here.
There's a lot of the Chinese balloon acrobats or whatever that is. At least here, it's a. Are you going to go see Charlie Sheen? He was on the show a couple days ago. Did you have a conversation with him before I talked to him?
I did not, but I'm not going to see him. Not tomorrow.
You said it's all over the place. You're going to see the Cleveland Guardians. No, they're at Fenway. You're going to see.
You said it's a movie?
Nope, it's not a movie. It's a show.
Yeah, he said they're going to see a show. It's all over the place. Is there a Cirque du Soleil in town?
No, but it is a show that is
Is it
here
at-
for a limited amount of time.
Is it at Playhouse?
Yep.
Beetlejuice. No, that's right.
Well, that's all
That's our
shows
time,
there.
yeah.
They're here for a limited amount
Whatever
of
is
time.
at
Lil
Playhouse.
Wayne's at House of Blues tomorrow.
Okay, I give up. Go ahead.
Tina!
I haven't seen one
What?
thing.
Advertisement.
Tina Turner
about.
Broadway show.
Never even heard of it.
Oh my God, whatever.
No, I didn't know about that either. Is it called What's Touring Got to Do with It?
No, it's just called Tina.
Oh.
It's the tour.
Is there an exclamation point at least? Do they have the common courtely to
Yeah.
do that?
There is it's a big ass billboard.
I believe
On-
you. I just didn't know it was in
Where?
town.
I don't know where it's.
You literally drive down. It's like right downtown, like when you're on the freeway. Once you get before you.
I take the shoreway. I don't use the
Oh,
freeway.
you're right. You wouldn't see it, Bill. I don't know if they have one on the shoreway.
Speaking of which, I came in on the Shoreway today, and everybody made a big hoopla about how Brown Stadium was cutting ties with First Energy, and they're like, they already took it down. They didn't take the sign down. It still says First Energy Stadium on the side of the stadium.
Does it? I don't.
It's still up. The sign
I
is
don't
still
go that
up there.
far. So I get off at 25th. So I don't even. See
I get
it.
off at 9th on the east side, and then I cut down Prospect. So I pass Brown Stadium. Everybody was saying, oh, they took it down the same day. No, they didn't. Still up there. I felt scammed. I wanted to see, like, when they take a sign down and all that's left are the bolt
The
holes.
rusty, yeah.
Yeah, the rust rain shadow and the bolt holes. That's what I wanted to see.
So are you
So
saying
you and
it's
Mc-
fake news?
Well, I took people at their word, which was mistake number one. But that could, because that seemed to underscore whatever urgency they thought that whole, parting of the ways there after that huge First Energy bribery scandal. The Browns pretended they cared and said, well, we got to take that down. It's still up there. So you and McBoyfriend are going to see the Tina Turner thing tomorrow night.
Yeah, we're gonna
All
go
right.
see it.
Now, do you dress up for that? Do you have dinner ahead of time? Do you have dinner after? What do you do?
I think we're probably gonna do. I'm gonna look at restaurants today and see like what we can do because he has to work until like 5 or 6, and the show's at like 7:30. So we're probably gonna eat afterwards, or maybe just get like something, quick, and then maybe eat at home. But I'm excited. Back in the day, I used to go to all the local shows around here, like the every show that would come to like Playhouse. I used to get like invited like during press night, but I think after COVID, I never got invited back. I don't know why.
We'll just
but-
get back on those mailing lists.
Yeah, I probably just have to send an email or something.
You mean like media
media night
premieres and things like that?
Yeah, but I have no problem paying for it. That is a show I would pay.
Yeah, but
for.
that's also a legit flex that you could use to get you and your McBoyfriend to some stuff.
I know, and it just so happened there hasn't been a show for a while that I was like, oh, I have to go see. Like, I have to do it right now. Tina was the first one. And before I even said anything, he was like, well, I want to get it before it sells out. And so we got tickets. We're going to go. We're going to make it a night of it.
Lil Wayne is at the House of Blues.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Why?
Oh, this is going to be
That's where
busy.
he's playing. I don't know.
Why doesn't he do like Romo Fijo?
I don't
Lil
think he's that
Wayne?
big anymore.
What?
Dude, he hasn't released an album in like over 10 years.
Doesn't matter. They got friggin' Jodeci and Salt and Pepper doing the Romo Fijo.
Right,
I mean,
yeah. Who else
chose-
did they
Lil
just-
Wayne.
The only reason I know that is that at the airport today, I ran into my old boss, who's the GM of House of Blues. And we were just kind of BSing about what's going on. And he's like, yeah, I'm home tomorrow night for Lil Wayne and then back on the road and blah, blah, blah. Because I was kind of surprised, too. I saw him at Blossom in like 2009. That was the last time I knew of him touring. But yeah.
Wow, Lil
And even without a
Wayne,
new
House of
album, like, yeah,
Blues.
people will still show up for somebody that, like,
I don't think
that's
rap.
weird.
I don't think rap artists have that kind of draw for that long.
Oh, no, I'm
Yes,
looking
they
at
do.
it. It's Little Wayne. It's a ventriloquist act.
Oh, my bad.
Lil Wayne is one of the greatest of all time. And
I agree.
He's choosing to do the House of Blues.
You think he could do the Romo Fijo?
Absolutely.
Yes, Lil
He
Wayne.
could do First Energy if he wanted to. It's Lil Wayne. Are you nuts?
There's people doing Romo Fijo who end up selling half house. They pull a curtain across the middle of the place, but they just want to do an arena.
So maybe he's working on new stuff. I don't
Well,
know.
remember when Lady
No, that's
Gaga,
great. I mean, if you're a fan of his, it'd be awesome to see him at the House of Blues.
Lady Gaga in her prime did those dive bar shows. Like, it was like.
Are you saying she's past her prime?
She's absolutely past her prime. Her prime was like Bad Romance.
Wow.
No one bought the Chromatica album. Not like they were buying like the Monsters Ball or not the Monsters Ball, the Fame Monster or whatever.
So that's why she's doing movies now.
Yeah.
See, I think that's
Absolutely.
smart though, because you give it a bit of time and then you get a demand. You kind of whet people's appetite to the point where when down the road when you do a new album, then everybody goes crazy. You kind of bail for a minute from the music thing, and then you do movies, and you do a really bad Italian accent, even though you're actually from an Italian family, and more of that. Boy, I'll tell you what, my wife is crestfallen today because Jerry Springer died, and that was her old boss, and I wish he had died yesterday because Gwen was filling in for Mary, and I wish that he had.
I wish he died.
I do, because it would have been great to hear her talk about when she worked for Jerry Springer.
Right.
She was an associate producer for Jerry Springer and a booker, and it was her first like real gig in showbiz because her background is in film and television. And she worked when I met her. She was already had moved on to the Judge Mathis show, but both of them were shot in Chicago. Jerry Springer, they ended up taking that whole production out to Connecticut for maybe the last 10 years or so, but. Jerry Springer had pancreatic cancer. He died at home in Chicago this morning or last night. He was 79, and she's like, he was just the nicest guy. She's like, back then when that kind of television, because Jerry Springer really did kind of reinvent that kind of television. There had been a couple of people before him, but they didn't last. There was a guy named Morton Downey Jr., who some people of a certain age might remember. He got a syndicated talk show where he was just screaming at people, but it only lasted like a year. He didn't have the zhuzh that Jerry Springer had. And she was like, he was just the nicest guy. It was a super, super cutthroat business and show and whatever. They did a pay-per-view thing called Too Hot for Television
Too
with
hot
Jerry
to
Springer.
handle.
I don't know what it was called, but Gwen worked on it.
They're like too hot for TV.
One of my favorite stories is that she had to go get rubber chickens that a stripper could then pull out of herself
There you go.
on the Jerry Springer pay-per-view. She's like, he was just the nicest dude. Obviously, Ohioans feel connected to Jerry Springer because he was the mayor of Cincinnati. He went to my alma mater. He went to Northwestern University. He worked at a law firm in Cincinnati. He kind of fell into broadcasting, did kind of radio things here and there. But he started, he had a political career that obviously transitioned into broadcasting, and that's why a lot of people gave him such a hard time about the TV show, is because they were like, you're really wasting a career here. You're a brilliant guy, and and he was like, well, don't be such an elitist about this show. This is kind of the true face of America. He was an advisor to Bobby Kennedy, and then after he got assassinated, he went on and worked at a law firm in Cincinnati. But like he was, he and Dennis Kucinich were two really young mayors in the state of Ohio. Jerry Springer was the mayor of Cincinnati when Dennis Kucinich was mayor of Cleveland in the late 70s. They were both young guys. They both ended up being one-termers. The story about Jerry Springer that everybody loves is that he paid for a hooker with a check. I think he has said something along the lines of that's not true, but that was a story that followed him around. And you'll see all kinds of write-ups on Jerry Springer. I never met the man, but again, Gwen worked for that show, and she loved Jerry Springer. He was the second host of America's Got Talent, if people go that far with that show. People think of that show now with Nick Cannon. Remember who the very first host of America's Got Talent was?
Tyra Banks.
Regis Philbin.
Oh.
Before they decided, because you don't know what a show is going to be, so you just take the people that you have under contract, and if they happen to be 80, you go, all right, we'll throw them on. And that very first season was Regis Philbin, and then they go, well, let's get somebody younger. They got Jerry Springer, and then he did a couple of seasons, and then they got Nick Cannon. But I just remember right after I had left Chicago to begin my broadcasting career, I was in Kalamazoo, Michigan, but I was still going home a lot because it wasn't that much of a trip, and I was kind of homesick. Is that because Jerry Springer had filmed his show in NBC Tower there in Chicago for a long, long time, which is where the local NBC affiliate had their news studio. That's where they did their newscasts. And they, at the time, had like the #1 local newscast, these two legendary anchors, a guy named Ron Majors and a woman named Carol Marine, who had been on Chicago television forever, very well respected. And the management there thought, you know what? He's so white hot, and he does have a journalism law background, blah, blah, blah. They hired Jerry Springer to give commentaries, which in the late 90s was still kind of an old school thing. Local news had kind of gotten out of the commentary business, but they thought, hey, let's strike while this iron's hot. He's in town. He's in the building, for God's sake. Let's get Jerry Springer to do commentaries. But he had so much stink on him because of that show that these two big-time anchors quit in protest. They both quit. And they ended up firing Jerry Springer. He only did 2 commentaries because they had already lost their major anchors who both went to other stations in town. But it was a big, big deal in the late 90s. Jerry Springer was always kind of sanguine about his own success with that show, but he really did change the way people watch that kind of show. There was Maury, and there were other people that did. They found their niche. Like there was a guy named Richard Bay who did something like that for a little while. But Jerry Springer really, really did transform that kind of television.
Just complete trash. I mean, that's what it was.
They did a movie with him, and they did a live show. But he was always
Ringmaster.
Yeah, something like that. He
Like
did
that?
syndicated radio. TAM ran the Jerry Springer Show for a while, and he was. I never met him. He had been on my show many times over the years. I just never had him in studio. So I had talked to him. I'd had him on the phone, and always really, really liked talking to him. But never got to meet him in person.
Did you ever say, like, oh, my wife used to work on your show?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And he remembered her?
Yeah.
It's neat.
So, but she's like, God, that sucks, because he was just so sweet. Given the tone of that show, right? Because people were always asking Gwen if it was all fake. She's like, no, trust me.
Those people
Every
exist.
single person was real, yes. She said the biggest problem they had is they would book people to do the show. They would fly them to Chicago, put them up at the Four Seasons or whatever, and the people would never come do the show. They wanted a trip to Chicago, and they
yeah.
wanted a nice hotel room. She's like, we would have to double and triple book people because invariably somebody would go. We couldn't find them. They'd be out of the hotel. They'd be, headed back to Kentucky or whatever. So it was a whole thing. But there'll be, if you were a Jerry Springer fan or whatever, he had pancreatic cancer, died at home in Chicago, and you'll see no shortage of write-ups about it.
That's going to be a great estate sale.
There you go. I've got to take